BMW has a long-standing history of creating some really cool coupes, and this is one of its latest. It's the 2 Series coupe. Often seen as the sister car to the 1 Series, the 2 Series has offered a slightly more dynamic and a bit more performance-focused offering compared to that traditional hatchback. Today, we're going to see what this latest car has to offer and if it can eclipse the great success that its predecessor had. The previous generation 2 Series coupe was based on the same platform as the 1 Series, but because BMW wanted to retain its rear-wheel drive layout for the new version, this car is actually based on the same platform as the 3 or the 4 Series. It is significantly shorter than the 4, however, but it's really wide, and you might notice the widened arches at the back and the low profile, which makes this car look really sleek on the road. Though BMW may have debuted a glitzy new operating system on cars like the iX and the i4, this 2 Series coupe uses the same traditional layout that you get from the 3 Series and the 4 Series, and it's a really good one. In the middle you've got a large infotainment screen, and ahead of you you've got a set of digital dials. We've got a pleasing amount of physical controls for things like the heating and ventilation as well, which is actually quite refreshing when a lot of them are being centred into the infotainment screen on some of BMW's other cars. Elsewhere we've got some nice materials, we've got leather, and we've got some high quality finishes on here too, with a decent amount of storage underneath the arm. Some bright finishes help to lift the overall feel of the cabin, but you've got a nice, snug overall feel, which is just what you want from a coupe. As you might expect from a compact coupe, there's not a lot of space in the rear of the 2 Series. As you can see, I'm just under 6 foot and headroom is pretty much non-existent, but I have actually got a decent amount of legroom and I can get my feet underneath the seat when it's in my position, so that's not too bad. You've got some USB-C charging points here, some controls for the heating and ventilation, and you've also got an armrest with 2 cup holders, which is actually quite useful. Certainly for occasional use for adults back here, it's not going to be too uncomfortable, but certainly for smaller kids, it's going to be just fine. If you thought that the boot space was slightly lacking in the previous generation 2 Series coupe, then you'll probably be pleased to hear that this new version actually has 20 litres more than its predecessor, topping out at 390 litres with the seats in place. You can of course fold those seats down and extend that load area even further. Typically for a coupe, the access is quite slim, but it is quite long and it is quite wide too. So for larger items, you're not going to struggle too much here. Those of you with keen eyes may have spotted that the car we're driving today is the 220D model. That's always been a huge hit with people who want good performance and good efficiency too. Now this 2-litre 4-cylinder engine that we've got in the 220 now has just under 180 brake horsepower, and that means you'll get 0 to 60 in just under 7 seconds. The model that we've got today is also finished in M Sport trim, which again is another firm favourite among BMW buyers because it brings that sporty design that people really want. It also benefits from a lower ride height and a slightly stiffened suspension setup, which is noticeable through the car. You can feel an ever so slight patter between the road and the tyres. However, this car is going to be really comfortable on long journeys, and because the steering is really nicely weighted, you can actually enjoy those bits in between the motorways as well. Around town, that stiffened suspension setup does make itself a little more noticeable, and it can thud through potholes, and it does struggle with some imperfections in the road too. However, it's kind of a balance between that sporty driving that people want to pick and get from a car like this with that overall comfort. I think it's a pretty good trade-off, to be honest with you. As with pretty much all BMWs as well, the seating position is excellent. You're nice and low in the car, you've got plenty of adjustability from the steering wheel, and the seat itself is of really nice shape too. BMW has really moved the game on with this latest 2 Series coupe. The adoption of a new platform means that it's far more practical than it was before, yet it hasn't lost that compact nature which made its predecessor so appealing. Given how successful the previous generation 2 Series coupe was, we can only see this latest improved version reaching even greater heights.